What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the Galactic Explorers Podcast. I nearly forgot the name of it then. This is episode 24, and we're going to do something a little bit different this time. We have a very special guest.
Oh,
yes. You get the whole shebang here on this show.
awesome.
He goes by Retro Wi-Fi Gaming on YouTube and Twitter. I will put the links to both his Twitter and his YouTube channel down in the description below. Introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you very much. Hey, obviously, you just said it. I go by Retro Wi-Fi Gaming, Multigrain Pasta on PSN. Big fan of No Man's Sky, so I'm here to talk some No Man's Sky with Ash and see how the things go.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do here is we'll start off with how you found out about No Man's Sky, and we'll just work his way through how you've reacted to everything and your experiences with the game.
All right. So I found out about No Man's Sky, I believe it was either 2014 or 2015 at one of the E3s.
Yes.
And I remember, because I was watching it, the live stream or whatever, and I was just seeing what was going on, and it came out of nowhere. I never heard of it before that time. So when I seen it, I was like, wow, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I love science fiction to begin with. And you might know this, but I still have a regular Nintendo, and one of my favorite games I used to play on it was Star Voyager. And it's almost the same type of concept as No Man's Sky.
Right.
And it's like you have like a somewhat of a galactic map, and you warp to different, systems and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and sometimes
yeah.
you find space stations, sometimes you'll find a planet to land on. And that was a really rudimentary Nintendo game back in the day. But I just love space games and stuff like that.
It couldn't have been that rudimentary, for the obviously back in the day then.
Actually, it's funny to say that because I've watched videos on YouTube of people that talk about it, and they say that 20 years later they finally were able to find out the way to beat the game because
Wow.
you actually have to find a certain planet, and it's got an actual monolith on it, and this monolith will give you this special gun, and it's the only way to fight your way to this one part to get to this other part to get to the goal, basically. So, and if you didn't have that special upgrade for your gun, there would be no way to. Yeah, you couldn't finish
Wow.
it. So it took someone that long to figure out how to beat it and everything like that. So, I mean, back in the day, I mean, you didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah. There was no cheat websites or there was no internet for starters.
No, you could never go on, online to check out anything. And, by that time, Nintendo came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
By that time, Sega Genesis, PlayStation, we're on PlayStation 4 now. So no one would even think about going back and playing it, but somebody did and eventually solved it. So it almost took 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I know in the 90s the only way that you could get game guides and stuff like that was to
Nintendo Power.
Is that the thing where you had to ring up the company and they would have a massive book? They had a massive book of each game.
Oh, there was the Nintendo Power was the monthly or weekly magazine that came out from Nintendo, and they had codes and stuff in that, but there was a thing called Game Genie, which you plugged your cartridge into it, and then you plugged the whole unit into the Nintendo, and it came with a booklet with all types of codes that you could put into it, with all the cheat codes and stuff like that.
It might have been earlier then, because I know at one point you had to ring up the company, and they'll have lots of people obviously on the phones, a call center, and I think each group of people on the call center had one giant book, and it was filled with nearly every single game that was on the console, and it had its own chapter and all the maps for each level, because a lot of the levels on the games were two-dimensional based.
Well, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, and a lot of the drawings for the maps I saw it on another channel. A lot of the maps were hand drawn by the guys. Yeah. So you had to ring these people up, and they'll tell you how to beat certain levels of games and stuff. So it might have been a little bit early, maybe mid 80s or something. But yeah, so I thought it might have been one of those.
Wow. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. That's completely news to me. But
yeah.
I mean, I believe it though, because back then, you might be able to buy a strategy guide or something like that. I mean, but other than that, like you had like a small pamphlet that came with the book, the
Oh
game.
yeah,
It basically told you maybe basic controls, and that was it.
yeah. That's why they're so valuable these days. If you've got a game from 20, 30 years ago, if you've got the booklet for it, you're just having the booklet increases the value of the game.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So
I still have like about 30 actual Nintendo games, but I don't have any of the booklets or
yeah,
anything
if
like
you had
that.
them, they'll easily go up by at least 50, 75% in value.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't know
so going about this,
if I don't know if I'm. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, so that's about that time I found out about No Man's Sky. I was basically at Summit E3.
yeah,
So basically, I kind of like just went about my business, and then about a month or two later, after I first seen it, I was like, wow, I really whatever happened with that game that I seen at E3? Like, is it out yet?
hmm
And that's when I started like watching videos on YouTube about it, and and by then like there's obviously there's other people that stream content in the beginning.
yeah,
Like Cobra. I'm not sure if you ever heard of his channel, but
yeah.
he
He's been on the show before.
oh wow, okay, right on. So I mean, he's been doing it for a real long time.
Yeah,
Like he,
I think when he first saw it on the what was the show? It wasn't the E3 in 2014. It was a show end of 2013, I think, when they came out on a stage. I can't remember what show it was. I don't think they even had a trailer for it. They just came out and said that, oh, we've got this idea, and then they kind of, I think, put the logo up or something like that.
hmm.
I think he's been doing it around that point.
Wow. Yeah,
Um,
he's been doing it for a long time. I don't know
yeah,
anybody that's been doing it longer than him. I mean, maybe there might be someone out there doing it, but I don't know who they are. I
not
mean,
as
like,
successful. I can't
yeah,
imagine.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like
He's
he
pretty
was
much
on.
built his channel around Not Man's Sky.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing. I mean, there were so many people, out there that were so at a certain point. I mean, the hype started to grow at a certain point, and then
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
he got tons of subscribers from it, and
Oh yeah,
that's why I feel bad, for him personally, like because he made so much like effort into just trying to report on what was out there, what was
yeah.
being told to him, and then after the whole debacle happened, after the game released, I mean, so many people went on his channel and was like just
Kind
giving him
of,
so much crap
yeah,
for it.
as if he made the game or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and all he did was really
He
just,
was just a fan.
yeah, I mean, he was just a fan and he was reporting what he was being told. And, just unfortunately, what he was being told might have not been true at the time, so.
Yeah. No,
But,
I can understand that. Yeah.
yeah, so obviously, like, just watching his videos, like the hype grows, and then all of a sudden more trailers start coming out and, the music I even like the music from 65 Days of Static.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, that
definitely.
was, a lot of their stuff was really good. So over this time until release, that was pretty much how I was biding time. And
Yeah.
let's see. Obviously when that first delay came out, when it was supposed to be like it was
Um,
supposed to be like before in 2015 it was supposed to be originally like at the
yeah.
end and then
Yeah. I
they
think what was said. I think Sean was in an interview and he said that we're trying to get it out for the end of the year. I don't
yeah.
think they ever gave an actual date, did they?
No, they never gave an actual
Um,
date. I think they just said before the end of the calendar year of
yeah. And
2015. And
then there was this whole rumor going around before Paris Gamescom in
hmm
2015 saying that No Man's Sky is going to have some kind of surprise release at Paris Games Week.
hmm
And then they ended up not even being there. Like the studio wasn't at the show.
I think I
Um,
actually heard about that too.
yeah, they did have. I think they did have some kind of trailer, or there was parts of their trailer in the montage that Sony tends to have
hmm
of all their games coming out in the following year or whatever. But
But
yeah,
yeah, so like that first initial like semi delay, I don't even call it a delay because there was no date, So like that
Mhm.
first setback was like okay with me, that's fine. Like, then June came around and
Yeah.
I
Well,
was one of
they
I was
obviously
one
got
of
the
those.
release. Was it beginning of March? Was it the 1st of March? They actually released the date
Yeah,
for
yeah, he did
June or
it through like
something.
a trailer, like one of the
Yeah,
trailers. I forgot which one it was, but it might have been like the I See Things trailer or something like
yeah,
that. He gave the release date, and it was like June, and I was like, sweet, and like I was one of those people that as soon as I got the actual release date, I went to work, I took time off, like
yeah.
I was one of those people, and I think when the game first went for pre-order, I was like that went the very first day because
Yeah.
I got the actual limited edition copy of it.
Oh, is that the
Um,
one with the spacecraft? Like the
no,
figure?
that's the PC one.
Oh yeah.
I got the one with what does it have in it? It's got
You get the spaceship and like the in-game spaceship
yeah,
and
yep.
the
Um,
10,000 credits.
and it came with an
Hmm.
artwork book, and it came with like two comic books, which comic books actually were really nice.
Yeah. I saw them. I saw the video of them when they were making them.
Mm.
They look amazing.
You know that workbook is another thing, man. Like I'll get to a little bit later on, but I almost wish I didn't have it. That's like,
Yeah.
but I'll get to that later. Like
Okay.
so, so that first major delay in June, like that one really set me back, and I was like almost like everybody else, like well, not as extreme as sending death threats,
Yeah.
which was insane, but I was disappointed. And but it's whatever. I've
Yeah. I
had
mean,
games that I've
a
been
lot. A
looking
lot of
forward
games
to.
always. I think most games always get delayed at least
Hmm.
once. And I think also it wasn't as bad then because we were still expecting what we thought was going to be originally released, like the original version of the game,
Hmm.
what we've been seeing in all the trailers. So I don't think if I mean
Yeah.
if we saw what it looked like when the game first came out in that trailer,
Hmm.
so we're saying, oh wait a minute, it's been delayed. Is it because of this reason? Because it doesn't look quite like what we saw in the previous trailers. I
Right.
think people may have even been worse or may have understood a lot more because of that reason. But
You know what's crazy too is that he just got interviewed by IGN like a couple times. It was like a couple episodes he had him on there, and they were actually showing off the game.
hmm
And I was like thinking like, man, if they knew that it was going to be delayed, like, don't you think maybe they would have not have had that interview? Like,
yeah,
I mean, it was literally in. I think it was either right before June or it was like early June when they had that, and he was supposed to release the
something,
game
yeah,
like a month later, not even a month later, and he was showing doing an interview about something that he knew ahead of time, like that wasn't going to get put out
oh
in
yeah,
time.
definitely.
So it's just like weird that he went through with all that, but
It's going to be like contractual agreements, isn't it, with Sony?
it's gotta be, it's gotta
Yeah, I mean they had overall obviously control of the game,
be. Hmm.
but for advertisement purposes, because that's the only money they accepted off Sony was for helping advertising the game,
Hmm.
which
Well,
obviously
I think Sony also owns the right for the physical copies as well.
I don't know because if that's the case, then obviously they wouldn't have brought it out on PC. I'm not sure.
That's true. I just thought I heard somewhere is that they paid for the licensing or something like because I think Sony paid for the physical edition, like the
Hmm.
physical copies of the game,
Right.
like
Oh, it's
No
being
Man.
put into production. Yeah.
Yeah, the actual production of the disc, the limited editions and stuff like that. But for PC, I mean, that's just a download. I mean, that goes straight to pretty much that comes down to Hello Games. Same thing with
Yeah.
PlayStation. Like if you buy it
I
off a
mean, as well,
PSN, that's
because obviously Sony being a big company, you
mm,
would have thought that they would have had the PlayStation version of the special PC version, with the model spacecraft.
mm.
You would have thought that Sony would have had that version, especially when they make so many special editions of other games that personally I don't think deserve.
If you go back and listen to like earlier interviews with him, like he even talked about how he never, because someone asked the question if there was going to be a physical release, and like even at
Mm,
that time, he's like, I didn't even think about that. That's something that we
yeah,
gotta like think about. So
further down
I'm
the
sure
line.
I'm sure up until a certain point, he probably didn't have any idea of even doing a physical release. But obviously, after they seen how popular it was getting or the
Mm,
hype leading up to it, that's probably why they did the physical release.
yeah, I mean I'm hearing that the people still don't have their like special edition PC version yet.
Man, you know
Like
what?
the
Like
back order for those is like miles long.
I heard that same thing too, and I mean, I was torn between whether I was going to get it for PC or for PlayStation, and
Yeah,
for me, PlayStation was easier. Like I was going to have to upgrade my computer to get it for PC,
yeah. I
and like,
mean, especially when the game first came out on PC and people having so many issues
yeah.
with their
Well,
PCs not being able
dude,
to run it.
PlayStation had just as many issues. I mean,
Well, yeah, but I mean, like obviously you can't upgrade your PlayStation, can you?
no, no.
It's most games. I mean, yeah, it had crashes and issues like that, but it wasn't
Hmm.
the game wasn't unplayable, or at least I never saw the game being unplayable on PlayStation, whereas obviously on PC, if your PC is not able to run the game, then
I felt bad for PC anyways because they got delayed 3 days. I mean, though I think they came out on PlayStation on Tuesday and it didn't come out on PC until that Friday. Yeah, it was that Friday. So they already got delayed on top of all the crap that happened.
Then they get all the mods though, don't they, afterwards? So
yeah, that's the payoff.
Yeah.
Like that's the good thing. Like I've seen some of the gameplay with the mods, and some of the mods are really good. Like I like the Dark Space one. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very visual person, so I like to see something that's attractive and stands out to me. So I can understand, obviously, for it to be realistic, you'll have to have like you'll want like black space.
It'd be nice to have it every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be nice to go into a system that was just black instead of a color. You know, just give it a little bit of a different variant or something like that. You know?
Yeah, that's what I can understand. But I think we've talked about this in a previous episode about mods, where I don't like when people, especially for this, where it's got its own universe, it's got its own history and all that kind of stuff, and people make mods which are specific for like other games or other history, so like Star Wars mods or Star Trek mods and things like that. It's just, I won't say it irritates me, but it's like it kind of defeats the whole point of the game. Where you've got this, they've made this whole universe and it's got its own individual history and stuff, and then you're flying around finding all these different alien species and their history, and then you see an X-wing fighter fly off next to you, and it just kind of like takes you out of the zone when you're in the game.
See, like I mean, I have played on. I mean, until I got my PS4, I only played on PC.
Yeah,
you know, I was a big PC guy, and I played Skyrim on PC, and there were so many mods for Skyrim that it literally ruined the game. Like it ruined
I definitely stayed to like the more lore friendly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were some mods that like just visually added like, you know, like either better graphics or whatever. But then there's some mods that were just so crazy and out of control. Like
I remember seeing a Superman armor mod and stuff like that.
And that's exactly the same thing that I was worried about that was going to happen with No Man's Sky. I thought like maybe like you're just going to see some just crazy mods that were just going to completely just not have any purpose in the game whatsoever.
Yeah,
basically.
Like it takes you out of the moment while you're playing the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so it's like kind of like a little bit more of a natural experience on PlayStation.
Yeah,
because you don't have the mod, you know. But at the same time, like there are certain mods I wish they'd transfer from PC to PlayStation.
Yeah, I do like that. Was it the Flying Low mod?
Yeah, that's essential. I can't believe that's not a thing yet. Like they have to put that in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's got something to do with like certain heights of some of the rock formations and things like that, because obviously as you fly over certain aspects of the terrain, your ship goes up as well and kind of follows that gradient.
You know what they should think about doing is they should put that mode in for survival mode. Like, you know, because survival mode is so hard to begin with. Why don't you make it even more realistic, and you could potentially crash your ship at the same time? You know, like put that, like maybe not in normal mode, like keep it the way it is now, but put it in survival mode.
Or maybe if it's just for testing purposes, just put it in creative. Because
that's true too.
You know, if your ship does clip out or something, when you're flying solo to the ground, at least you're not going to die because you're in creative mode and. You're not going to die, so maybe just like give it a few testing things. But it's whether Sony are going to invest the technology, or at least allow Hello Games to invest the technology into putting mods onto the PlayStation version.
Yeah, I tell you what though, man, I just think that relationship between Hello Games and PlayStation really it's really weird. Like, because even after everything started, like, all the bad stuff started coming out, like PlayStation was even like wiping their hands clean. They were like, we have no idea. You got to talk to them. You know, like one of those type of things. Like, so who knows like what's gonna happen with those two?
See, I've got my own theory on the whole Sony Hello Games debacle. Because like I said. The only fun, like money funding that Hello Games accepted from Sony, as far as we know, is funding for advertisement and things like that. So it makes no sense to me. Sony, as a massive company, they're not just obviously about the PlayStation. They have obviously the things in other pies and all
Right.
that. They know how to advertise products, and they obviously should know. They should know a small company like Hello Games. They would know all their members of staff because there was what at the time of the agreement between Sony and PlayStation, Sony and Hello Games. There was maybe like 8 members of staff at Hello Games.
Yeah, exactly.
So they would have known everyone then. They would have known that none of them were marketing experts.
Yeah, they really should have stepped in and been like, you know what, like you guys just concentrate on the game.
If you're going to accept this money off us to help market the game, then you need to have someone. We want someone in charge who was
Right.
an actual marketing expert.
Especially for how much like they put it as a flagship game for them.
Exactly.
Like, you know, like
I mean, they charge full price.
I honestly think that was Sony's doing. I think they told
But
them
that's what I mean. Like they've kind of shifted all the blame onto Hello Games. Like,
well, of course, because they're the little guy. It's like no
Yeah.
different than anything in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always the big company always puts the
Exactly.
blame on the little guy or something like that. You know, like the fall guy.
So I mean, that's my whole view on it. The fact that it is. I mean, it is down to Sony. It's not only just down to Sony, of course. I mean, you know, when whoever it was who was doing the marketing for Hello Games, they thought, I just don't know what I'm doing here. It's just going to go completely wrong, or they didn't tell Sean what he can say or what he can't say in interviews and whatnot. So someone at some point should have said, look, I can't do this. We need to get someone in from Sony.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, so.
Oh yeah. So anyway,
the game finally comes out.
The game finally comes out. I mean, I actually took that whole week off from work. I mean, I had a ton of vacation time, but
Yeah.
I mean, I took the whole week off from work. I missed it. I think
sorry
maybe.
about my cough.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm actually fighting something too. So
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, I don't even think I'm exaggerating. I think with that first week time the game came out, I at least put at least 100 hours into it. Like that's
Yeah.
how much I was playing. I was playing it all day, all night. Like I loved it. And then slowly the hate started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, why are people not liking this? I mean, this is like everything. I mean, to me personally, like, regardless, even what we got first day, like, to me, like, the game, I love it.
Yeah.
You know, is it perfect? By no means, no, by no means, no. I mean, I can run through a list of things that I'm upset about, but
Yeah.
in the end, there's nothing like it on the market.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's
very true.
there's things that are close. There's things that share similar ideas. Like Astroneer just came out, and a lot of people like it. And
Yeah.
it's a cool idea. I haven't got a chance to play it yet,
It's
but
really
I've
good.
heard really good things about it. So I mean, but up until that point, I mean, there's nothing this big.
I mean, I think the closest things will be probably
Maybe
Elite,
Eve.
yeah, well, Elite Dangerous
Yeah, Elite Dangerous. Yeah.
and Star Citizen.
But they only had certain aspects of it. Like they didn't have the whole exploration. They didn't have, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't have just a lot of different
Yeah,
things.
I mean,
You know.
the thing is with Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, they're very much simulations of like the space flight simulations and
Right. Especially Elite.
and with simulation, you tend to get things look very, very realistic. So their whole thing was, like you say, black space,
Right.
realistic looking planets. Whereas obviously No Man's Sky is very much, I won't say cartoonish, but it's very much more of a like I said, a visual. I don't know what's the best way to describe it, but it's a very visually.
It's visually appealing to me.
Yeah, it's.
I just like it.
It's
I
more.
mean,
It's more of a simplistic visual. So it's not trying to be too specific on detail and things like that. You know, when you've got like a piece of gold, it doesn't have all like the the individual little veins of gold on it or anything like that. It's just a big chunk of gold.
Yeah, but they do put detail in certain spots.
Yes, very true. But if that was in Elite Dangerous or in Star Citizen, it would look like.
Oh, it'd probably look way better.
It would look like when they got one of those scanning machines. What they do to put models into like Lord of the Rings, and they're scanned over this texture of gold, and it would look exactly the same as that.
Oh, exactly the same. Like you just pulled it out of the ground. It would even have like dirt on it and stuff. Like,
yeah, exactly. Speaking of like the planet exploration, I think Star Citizen put out a new trailer the other week, and I don't know if it's a kind of a bit of a jab at No Man's Sky, because it's one where they're on like a desert planet, and there's a crashed ship, and then you see some people floating across, and then there's this massive worm thing that comes out. It looks like the Sarlacc out of Return of the Jedi.
I actually seen that, and that gameplay, whether it's real gameplay or stage gameplay or whatever, like regardless, it was impressive. But I'll tell you one thing right now, like they can make fun of No Man's Sky all they want with that. Like they don't forget, like that's a whole company of people. Like that's $100 million game or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it was it paid, not Patreon. What's the Kickstarter? It was a Kickstarter, I think, and I think maybe like. You got something like 500 million in people paying for it to help kickstart the game.
Right.
It was a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, it's an insane amount of money, and the team that they have to assemble that. And then you look at Hello Games, where at certain points it was anywhere between like 4 to 10 people working on the game. And
the people behind Star Citizen had previous experience in the same genre anyway. I think the guy who's created Star Citizen is the guy who also created. I don't know if you played it, Freelancer.
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever played it.
Well, it's a great PC game. I've still got it installed on my PC right now. But I think that's about 10 or coming up to maybe 15 years old. And that's another space exploration kind of game. It's very linear for the time when it came out. But it's still a great game. But they have, like I said, they have previous experience in the genre, so...
Right. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like those Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, those are quality games. It's just that for me personally,
they have the manpower though, don't they? Like you say.
Yeah, I mean, they have teams of people. I mean, they have they have a company of people.
Yeah.
Sure, way more than what Hello Games has. And,
definitely.
They probably have way more resources. They probably have way more companies that they could probably interact with and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like. That's one thing I think that people sometimes neglect when they start talking, crap about No Man's Sky or Hello Games, is that it was made by 10 people or 14 people or however many people it was. Like sometimes when you look around and you're on a planet and like you could just see a planet in the horizon and you're like, wow, that's a place I can go to.
Yeah.
And like I've never played a game like that. Like just anywhere. I can go anywhere. I can just go underground if I wanted to, and I could find something down there, or a cave system or something. Like, I don't know. To me, like I like exploration games, so No Man's Sky for me is like I'll spend hundreds of hours in it. I have.
Yeah.
And I still get enjoyment out of it, and to this day, I still check Twitter every day, and I watch what other people post on there, and I'll tell you the truth, man. Like, there hasn't been a day that goes by where I haven't seen a screenshot of something that I haven't seen before. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen that before. I constantly say that all the time. I probably have about like at least 400 hours into the game at least.
Wow.
And like I still see things that I've never seen before for people posted online. Like that's like I can't say that about GTA. I can't say that about I can't even say that about Skyrim. No matter how big Skyrim is, like I played it so much where I've pretty much seen just about everything.
Yeah.
And like with No Man's Sky, I mean, I still to this day I still see new things. So
yeah, well, that's dedication, though. That is dedication.
Dude, like I was like saying before earlier, like just with Destiny, if I get hooked on something, like I'll spend a lot of time playing it. And like for me, like I just like playing No Man's Sky. It's relaxing, especially when I come home from work and I just want to unwind. Like that's a perfect game for me.
Yeah, that is. It's very much the slow burner.
Yeah,
it's a slow burner survival game, isn't it? I mean, obviously you got the survival mode now,
Well, it's different now,
Yeah,
but back in the day,
yeah,
it was
it's definitely the
completely
slow
different.
burner version of the survival game where
Mm.
you weren't worrying about hunger or thirst or anything like that.
I could tell you, I'd never taken so many screenshots from a game ever.
Oh,
I mean, my PlayStation, I guarantee you, I have at least 75 gigs of storage taken up from screenshots or video
wow,
clips or whatever. I have at least over 1,000 screenshots
that's
just from the
crazy.
game. Just from all types of random stuff that I've seen, and it's just, oh man.
Okay, so we've gone
I
through
take pictures of
obviously,
all the lore. Yeah,
yeah,
but
we've
right,
gone through
right.
obviously like your positives on the game and things. So, what would you say your negatives were on the game on release?
On release, my biggest negative was no ring planets. That was like,
Yeah,
like when people started getting copies of the game and they started leaking footage, like I tried not to watch any of it, but there
yeah,
was a couple times where I just peeked in on someone's stream and just typed in, "Hey, are there planets with rings?"
yeah.
And every single person was saying, "No, I haven't seen them yet. No, and I haven't seen them yet." And when the game released, I tried so hard to find it, and
Nothing.
I was so disappointed, man.
See,
I was
that's where Elite Dangerous has it down on No Man's Sky there.
Ah, man, if they could ever put rings on planets No Man's Sky, like I'm gonna have the hugest smile on my face. Like
Yeah,
just the visual of that, like to me, I was looking forward to that. Uh,
yeah,
but everybody else, I mean, everybody else was looking forward to this multiplayer that was supposed to happen, and
yeah.
that's where a lot of disappointment to me. But for
It was
me,
crazy because I remember because I've followed it since like that E3 in
mhm,
2014 or whatever it was, as well. And I remember since then, it's always said there's not been like a proper multiplayer aspect that most people would associate multiplayer with these days.
mm,
He was comparing it to other games like was it Dark Souls
Journey.
and Journey. I've never played them, so I don't know what the multiplayer
Oh,
aspect was. So I couldn't compare them to that. So what I took was what he said was there isn't really a multiplayer aspect to the game. But people still kept. I remember in the Facebook group,
mhm,
people still kept coming to the group saying, "Is this game multiplayer? Is this game multiplayer? Is this game
right.
multiplayer?" Constantly, like for the 2-3 years before the game came out, it was constantly asking like, "Is the game multiplayer?" And every time we tell them it's not going to be like a proper multiplayer game like Call of Duty or anything like that. To be honest, we didn't really know what it was gonna eventually end up being like.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's the thing too. Like I think people started to imagine what they wanted the game to be like instead of actually what it was going to be like. I mean,
yeah,
people were coming up with such crazy things. Like it's just crazy things. Like people were
mm,
trying to think of, and like it just I seen it coming. Like I was like, you know what? Like people are gonna get so overhyped for this. Like a week before like the August launch, like I was actually telling people I work with, I was like, you know what? They were like, oh, are you excited? And I'm like, honestly, I'm like trying to dial it back a little bit. Like I'm
yeah,
kind of lowering my expectations like, because I just don't want to get disappointed. Like I didn't
yeah,
want to, because I had, obviously I had, fantasies in my head too of what the game could be, but at
yeah.
the same time, like
First
I
thing
had a
you're going to
ground.
do and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like I had to even dial myself back a little bit, and but to me, like there was way more stuff in it than I thought was going to be. Like he never said anything about how there was going to be an Atlas path.
Yeah,
There was there's a couple things that they were in the game that he never ever said leading up into like
yep,
up until release, and but obviously there's the famous list on Reddit, where
yeah, yeah,
someone made that humongous list on Reddit, and it was just I mean, obviously some things can get crossed off because they made the list too early, and people just didn't.
yeah. I
But
mean,
there are key things that are on that list that
that
he
is
did
true.
say that were not there. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they could be there at some point, but
Well, that's the thing though. The game is procedurally generated, and
mm,
there's 18 quintillion planets in the game.
right.
So no one's going to explore all the planets anyway.
Mm,
And I think they said that only something like was it 10% of the planets will get discovered, maybe.
not even,
Yeah.
barely.
So and that's before the world ends probably.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but I think what it was is yeah, there may not be everything there on release. But in updates, there's going to be stuff in the game, what's going to be implemented into the game that was never even mentioned in the first place. So, like, base building was never meant to be in the game.
Right.
To begin with, ever at all. And then, obviously, they listened to community, what the community wanted. They've put base building into the game. That's a whole mechanic of the game they've had to create, either since release of the game or just a few months before the release of the game. They've had to create a whole new thing that was never meant to be in the game in the first place.
Which is a cool aspect too.
Exactly, I mean, that's a bonus. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I
wish.
Go on, sorry. Go on.
No, I just wish they. I wish the way it went down is that maybe they should have delayed a game a second time in August and then released it in November or something like that, and then released the game with all 3 modes how it is now. Like if they would have did that, it would have gotten so much better like feedback and reviews than it did when they rushed it. You know, like you can. But it's a shame.
It's down to the whole thing between Sony and them.
Yeah, and I think that's all Sony pressure on being like, listen, we advertise this game as a summer game.
Definitely.
We need it for summertime. That's it, you know. So, which is bad on their part.
But then again, though, I mean, this year hasn't been great for games.
No, it really hasn't.
I don't think. I mean, we've had obviously things like Call of Duty come out, and then was Assassin's Creed this year, or was it earlier this year?
That I don't really know. I kind of fell off the Assassin's Creed like journey a while ago.
I think it was like early this year, so that wouldn't have mattered anyway. But then usually November is the month for games to come out, and we had, I think, Call of Duty. Obviously, like you got things like, I mean, FIFA comes out every year anyway, so people try and avoid when FIFA comes out to release games.
Yeah.
What else came out? It was Overwatch. What's the big robot one? The big robots.
That's Titanfall.
Titanfall 2 came out, which kind of wasn't as big as a success as they thought it might have been.
Well, dude, the first one wasn't that big either.
Well, yeah, and that was kind of a bit of a letdown for some people as well because there was no single player mode. But that's what I mean. If they released it later on in the year, they didn't really have any big, huge competition to go up against. They might have thought they would have had, but obviously once the games came out and they weren't as big as first thought they would be, or as impactful as they thought the games would have been. It would have been a perfect time for it to come out. It would have been Christmas.
Right.
It's just pressure from Sony.
Right.
Or whoever it was.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, obviously, like a lot of people were disappointed about multiplayer, but I was one of those people that I didn't really care if there was. I mean, I liked the whole vision that he had. I liked him, setting up the stage as you're just one person in this humongous galaxy, and you're by yourself trying to get your way towards wherever you're going. And I like that loneliness of space that he's trying to create. So
yeah, I mean, I can see No Man's Sky ending up a little bit like Destiny with like events, maybe. Like, because the whole base building thing kind of seems a bit silly if you can't have multiplayer now.
Right.
Because I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, I finished all the base building quests," and they're firing all the aliens that they've hired. So they've got this big base that they've built, and they're hardly in it anymore because they're off it, searching the galaxy and for other planets and other resources, and their base is just sat empty. So I can imagine at some point we might get like clans or something added to the game.
The whole base building thing to me is kind of confusing because like it kind of goes against what they're trying to make you do, and that's go towards the center. And here you are, you're spending all this time like building this base, and I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's a good feature, the fact that you can walk back to your base at any time and then walk back from your base to.
That's huge.
The previous place that you walked from.
Yeah, that's a really big feature they added. Like people might not take advantage of it, but I certainly do. And I think you can have up to like 4 systems like in your rotation at a time.
Oh, okay.
And you could actually like just warp to each system and sell stuff at 4 different types of stations.
Yeah.
Like you can, so like for trading, like that's actually really good.
A monopoly on the whole trading aspect. Yeah.
Especially if you're looking for like one of those like new elements or something like that, and you're like, oh, I know it's in this system on this planet. I can just warp to the station and leave the station and go get it, and then warp back to my home planet and
Sell
stuff.
it
Like,
there.
yeah, like there's a lot of cool. That's a really cool feature that they put in.
Yeah.
So
See, I think that was my biggest letdown for the game was the whole trading aspect. I
hmm
thought it was going to be a bit more to it than what was eventually there. But I mean, maybe it'll get improved in a later update or something.
I would love to see them do like an actual interactive meeting where you're actually trading with actual players that put their
Yeah.
stuff on a market, like you know how some MMOs do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know, like you're the actual market. You're not like a predetermined list of
Yeah.
stuff. Like you can go and search for something, and there might be 100 people that are selling it. You know, and you can
Yeah.
choose whoever has the lowest price and stuff like that. Like
It'd
I
be nice to
wish they.
see like a market that actually um, is affected by how much is sold
hmm
of
Well,
one thing at a place.
I think it actually does do that at a certain point because I remember, well, at least early on, like I
Yeah.
remember I one of my first plants I had Emerald, and like
Right.
I made like 10 million units like in one day just going up and down just selling
Yeah.
my Emerald and stuff. And I think after a while it started to
The value of
depreciate in
it.
value.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Uh,
that does happen, but I mean, you know, you got to sell quite a bit of
well,
stuff for it to
yeah.
start.
I mean, I think my favorite game for the trading fact for the trading is probably Elite Dangerous.
Hmm.
It's a lot more in depth, and you have like missions associated with it as well.
Right.
I think they need to, and I think they will do add is more missions to the game, like storyline missions, like they did with the whole base building
That's
aspect.
one thing I hope they add on to the story because
Yeah.
I'm like one of those people I love the lore of the game. Like
hmm
I've gone through each race, I've gone through the Traveler's lore, and even early this is gonna sound crazy, but early on I played on my first playthrough, I got about 100 hours in, and that's when I realized that the Atlas had its own language.
Right. Yeah.
And then I literally immediately, I reset my game and I started from square one. And I learned every single language, including the Atlas language, before I hit my first Atlas station.
Wow.
Just because I wanted to see what the Atlas text was at each station.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's
like
crazy.
I was like that into like the lore and stuff. And whoever wrote the story, the original lore for the game is it's obviously a professional writer, I mean, to begin with,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was so good, like how you could see each race and see their side of the story and how they view the other two races and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like, it's really, they did a really good job. And I hope that hope they add more to it, like there's more that they could add to
It's
it.
on that quality level as well.
Yeah, that has to be the thing too. Like, I hate to say it, but like some of the new text, like from the Foundation update, like some of the new text, like you can tell someone else wrote that.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same person, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, like I said though, it could have been completely to do with the fact that it was created either since the release of the game or the fact that it didn't really have that much planning behind it because it was never meant to be in the game in the first place.
right? No, I mean, I understand, I
I mean,
understand, but
obviously, all professional writers they don't always come up with masterpieces of literature.
yeah, that's also true too. I mean, I don't know who did it, but whoever did the first part of it, the first main chunk, like did
Yeah.
such an
Well,
excellent job.
I
Yeah.
mean, even writers have to do planning, don't they, and
Mm,
researching into the subject that they're writing about. And if they don't have that time to get into that place where they need to be to write that kind of genre and that kind of story, then it's just going to come out as something as one of my English exams when I was younger, and that was absolute crap. Um,
right.
Pretty much. So yeah, no, it's. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It could be down to is the fact that it was done towards either the end of development of the game coming out or since the whole game came out as itself. So we've gone past obviously what you think was a bit of a negative of the game. Um, do you? Oh, let's how was. Do you agree with like some of the backlash that Hello Games received?
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna. Like I said, as much as I'm gonna sit here and tell you how much I love the game, like they deserve a certain amount of it.
Hmm.
Especially, you can't deny it, dude. The guy went on national TV on Steve Colbert's show, and he was talking about multiplayer, and it's not there.
Yeah,
That's not like he was speculating towards it or anything like that. He was
yeah,
on national TV, and the guy said it was in the game. And even if he knew that it wasn't going to be in the game at launch, then maybe he should have said that. But the way that he put it off, like maybe you could have kind of like sidestep around a couple of other features or
yeah.
whatever, this and that. But dude, that part right there, like it's hard to deny it, man. Like you can't.
I mean, even if it's not ready, if it's going to be in the game eventually, if it's not ready for the release of the game, you just don't mention it. It's kind of
Yeah.
obvious. I mean, it's crazy. It's like when companies say like, "Oh, this game is coming out," but then they tell you like the game's coming out in 5 years' time. It's like, what was the point in telling us we've got to wait 5 years now for the game to get released?
Right. No. Yeah. I hear you. It's just I don't know. That criticism he definitely deserves,
Yeah.
and
But then again,
he
that's
also
that's all down to marketing, isn't it? He's obviously been
yeah
told he hasn't been told what he can and can't say
yeah.
prior to any of the interviews.
And as soon as you say it the first time, like it's hard to go back on
Yeah,
what you said. So I'm sure at that point he was so wrapped up in everything that was going on that he was
yeah,
almost like pot committed at that point. Like he had to pretty much just keep the
exactly,
train going, I guess. So
exactly. He was very much out of his comfort zone as well. He wasn't he like
mm,
when he's not around gamers as well. Like in the IGN interviews, in all the IGN interviews, he seems a lot more um, calm and collected, and because he's around people who are like him, like gamers and um, maybe some socially awkward people as well. So
right.
I mean, he was very socially awkward at that first
Oh
E3
yeah.
that he was on, where he was just constantly looking at the floor, and I mean, you could tell he was out of his comfort zone. I mean, he's definitely has got better over the 3 years. That
Well,
is,
he's had a lot of experience
yeah.
now.
But
I'm
that's the
sure
thing,
I'm
though.
s
He's not a marketing person usually.
no,
Like,
no, he's a programmer.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
like
At E3, I mean, the guy who usually runs the Sony E3 press conferences, he was the head of marketing at one point, I believe. So he has that experience of marketing and know how to talk to people in large audiences and things like that. They don't tend to get CEOs of companies to do the talking to the general public.
right.
Um, but
Yeah. I don't know. It's just yeah. It's that. So there is some stuff that he should that
mhm,
and communication.
yeah,
The communication between the player base and and him as a in their company.
hmm,
That was horrible.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen any type of. I don't think I've ever seen anything that bad before,
I
where they
think
just
the
completely
only
won't say
company that I
anything.
can think of is the company behind um, what was that game what's just come out, the big flying bird cat thing.
Oh, Last Guardian.
Yeah, The Last Guardian. It took, was it 8 years or something like that, 7 years for the game to come out, and like each year nobody heard anything about the game or anything.
I still don't even understand that game. Like
Uh,
people made a big deal about it, and like I don't know. Maybe it's just not my type of game,
did you
but
play
I
any of
don't.
the other games that they've made? It was
No, see, maybe that's the reason why
the
I don't
kind
get
of
it.
they weren't interlinked, but they're all like in the same universe kind of thing. So
Mm.
if you kind of like those two games that they made,
And see,
more
maybe
than
that's the
likely you
reason
would have
why.
liked
Okay,
The Last Guardian as well.
right on. See,
Um,
I didn't know it had a history or anything like. I just thought it was a game
yeah,
coming out of
it's
nowhere.
kind of
Like,
like Benicio del Toro films. Is it Benicio? Not Benicio del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. We know the guy who does Hellboy films,
oh yeah,
and
yeah, okay.
Pan's Labyrinth as well. Like all his those kind of films, although they may not be interlocked together, they kind of have the same university kind of feel to them. Like a lot of the monsters that he has in his films, they've all got like these spirally patterns, kind of engraved into their skins, kind of
Hmm.
thing, and it's got this whole feel like they're all linked together in some way.
That's
Um,
weird.
but that's the same kind of thing. What happens with those games, those three games? I think
Okay.
one's, like you said, one's the Last Guardian, the other um, I think it's Ico, and I think the third is like a giant game or something.
Well, I guess that makes a little bit more sense now.
Yeah. But no, yeah, you're definitely right. The whole communication thing has been very poor from Hello Games.
But there are a lot of things that they took a lot of heat for that was way over exaggerated, and people were just started nitpicking, and either they were putting stuff that said that it wasn't in the game, it really was, and they just didn't find it. Like, it's just, it was. I've never seen so much. I've never seen an emotional.
It was a constant U-turn, weren't it? It was a constant U-turn of fans.
I never. I just, to me, like, it's amazing. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like it again. Like, it's just for how much, like, how fast things swung from one direction to the other, and just the amount of emotions, the amount of like hate, and I don't know. It's crazy, man. You know what that goes to show you is that people really wanted it to be something. Yeah. Like, people were genuinely excited about the concept of the game, and they really, really wanted it to be like that one trailer.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. And I think you get enough people that are that passionate about it and want something that bad, of course they're going to get hurt by it, and they're going to lash out. I mean, that's exactly what happened.
Kind of generation we live in as well, where it just seems like people are used to getting what they want. Obviously,
that's a whole nother conversation for a whole other show.
It does kind of show that kind of thought of. I mean, I'm guessing most of the backlash was from the younger generations like myself, where, I mean, a lot of people who were a bit more mature and they've accepted for what the game is, for what it is. Whereas I'm thinking a lot of the younger generation have just gone complete backlash to the whole Sony versus Xbox generation. Let's call it the console wars generation. They've got this mentality where they seem to think that they can get what they want, and then if they don't, they'll throw a tantrum and.
No, it's instant gratification. That's all they want. You know, they just want everything right then. They want everything to be perfect.
I want my giant animals, man.
Yeah, this game sucks. It doesn't have humongous animals, and but okay, fine.
Go screw your mother.
yeah, exactly. Here, like just the venom that comes out on the internet is just it's way too much, But hey, I mean,
I've always said that this game is kind of a concept game. It may not end up working in the long run or things like that, but it is the first. More or less, it's more or less the first modern version of its kind of game. Yeah. So there's going to be technology there, what people haven't used before, which will get implemented into other games in the future, which will get more success than No Man's Sky.
I guarantee you right now, I can guarantee you this, that other huge companies like EA and Bethesda and those people, I'm sure they've seen the pre-order sales for that indie game, and it was an indie game, and they know how passionate people wanted it to be something. Yeah. I guarantee you right now, if not, as we speak, I guarantee you there's someone behind closed doors making this game right now, but on a bigger scale, just like with EA
or maybe
money.
Maybe even on a smaller scale, but because the diversity of what procedural generation can do, if you put procedural generation in a smaller environment, you get more detail from the results of the procedural generation.
Right, but just you're gonna have some big name studio come out. They're gonna come out with something very similar, and then people are gonna be like, "See, this is what happens when AAA studios make a game and it's perfect, this and that." But in reality, they got the idea from an indie studio. They just had the funds and the people and the manpower to actually do it. Maybe
I mean, the only two companies I could think would even attempt that will probably be Rockstar or, like you said, Bethesda.
Oh my God! If Rockstar did that, oh my God! Or even Bethesda, either one of those two.
They have a very close knit company where games don't get teased until they want the games get teased. Like, I mean, there was kind of rumors around Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, but it's only been the last few months. It hasn't been like 2 years ago or 3 years ago or anything like that. And the game's supposed to come out end of next year. And Bethesda is a prime example of keeping secrets behind closed doors, where we didn't even hear about Fallout 4 officially until 3-4 months before the game got released. So a company like Bethesda, where they can keep tabs on who knows what's being experimented on and being created in their R&D labs. You know, when it comes to like things like procedural generation and stuff like that. I mean, can you imagine if they try to use procedural generation on certain aspects of Elder Scrolls 6?
Oh my gosh! Even anything, GTA, Elder Scrolls, any of those big, like anything that has like an open world concept, you put procedural generation in there, and like you could really do some crazy stuff because not everything has to be procedural. Like there's static things that you can keep in the game, but just have, I don't know, your trees are all procedural, or it's just certain things can do that.
Just
everything doesn't have to be. Yeah.
I mean, even if the landscape is a certain size, just the random generation of what that landscape is going to be, or like the weather systems, or anything like that. It's crazy.
Like I said, it will happen. Like you'll see a spin-off of you'll see a spin-off of No Man's Sky sooner or later, and like it will be from a big name company, and it will happen. I know it will. It's because of the success that. Well, I mean, it is a success technically for how many units they sold originally,
Definitely.
but I mean, trust me, big naming companies want to make money, and if they have the backing from the gaming community, and just to be like no different than people pre-ordering Call of Duty. People pre-order Call of Duty without even knowing what the game is going to be about or whatever.
Even the last last 3 or 4 versions, apart from I think this year's and last year's were kind of okay, but the ones before that were just terrible. But people still.
Yeah, there's still people out there that will religiously buy it, just like Halo.
Yeah.
People love Halo. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that will happen.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so we've gone past like the disappointments and things. So we don't hear anything for 3 months, more or less. What were your initial thoughts on not hearing anything? Were you kind of worried about the whole situation, or?
Yeah, because of that famous quote that he put out during one of his interviews was like, if people don't like the game, they'll just do a day 0 patch and they'll just drop it.
Move on to something else.
Move on to something else. And like the way it was going, it was like, okay, so we got the day 0 patch and we've gotten bug fixes, and here it is like almost 3 months later and there's no new content. Yeah. And there's no word from anybody, and like, you know, in the beginning,
was going around that the studio closed, like those.
There's tons of rumors swirling. I mean, there was like people were taking pictures outside their business. Like people were going insane. Like, so honestly, I had no idea what to think. But in the meantime, I mean, if you followed me on Twitter, I mean, I was still continuously, almost on a daily basis, like showing my support, like posting pictures, screenshots from stuff I did, or like trying to get interact with people to like say positive things about the game and stuff. And like that was something that I was trying to do. And I mean, I'll admit, like as time went on, like it got harder and harder to do that because there was just so much silence. Like I just it was really good that just out of nowhere.
It's kind of tiring defending the company as well. Like you say, if you haven't heard anything for 3 months from them.
Yeah, because like I would go to work, and then like people that maybe don't play the game, but they just read about it, like the reviews or what's current and stuff like that, just the current atmosphere of it. And like people would come to work and be like, "Oh man, I heard your game's like doing this and that, and they're closing down shop and this and that." And I'm like, I got sick and tired of like having to like defend the game and like, so it was. But in the same, like I still did it. It wasn't like I just completely just dropped it. Like I still played the game a lot during that time period. I was playing constantly. So for me, like I almost had to go like undercover. Like at a certain point, like I was even getting crap like on my PSN, like my status would be like online, and then people would see me playing the game and they send me messages like, "Hey, why are you still playing that game? This game is shit," or whatever.
Yeah.
And I actually had to like log myself offline just so I could just peacefully play the game online without somebody like saying something to me. And it was really crazy. Like I wanted to stream a lot, and it was just the amount of hate that was going around in the streams was just too much.
Yeah.
I mean, streamers like were just getting completely they had groups of people that would just go around the videos and just just say nonsense.
Just spamming you,
just spamming it, and like it's just a normal thing, and it drove people away. Like I know people that used to stream and they're like, you know what, I'm not streaming this anymore. I just don't want to take the abuse anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's not the way it is. Like
that's
like
what gaming's not about that at all. It's supposed to bring people together and
like I'm not a fan of Call of Duty, but I understand that it has a huge following with people, and I understand that like people love the game, and like I've never ever in my mind been like, you know what, I'm gonna go on someone's stream and talk shit about the game just to make them feel bad.
Yeah.
Like that's not something that I would ever do. Like even if I absolutely hated it, why would I waste my time? If I hate something, why would I waste my time?
Yeah, exactly.
Watching it. Like I'm not even gonna even entertain it. Like I just don't. Like I'm dead. That's done. You know. Like I don't even want to even bother with it. But people out there just. They hate the game, but they would go to and watch the streams. Like why? Like why are you watching something you hate? And,
yeah, it just doesn't make sense, does it? It's all.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like this whole thing has been so weird. Like I've just never seen anything like it before in a game before. Like it's insane. You know, one of these days, someone's gonna do this as like their master thesis for like psychology in some college or something like that, and they're gonna like, they're gonna like review the whole like ups and downs of the community and the media and stuff like that, and just because it's fascinating kind of a little bit. Like
it was just so weird. I mean, there's the whole thing about like the lawsuits around it as well with Sky.
Oh,
and it was just complete and utter farce. The whole. I don't know what this is one thing you can place. I mean for a small company, the only game that you're working on, it's taking you 3 or 4 years to make it, and you're in a court case with a huge company. I mean, for us, Sky is like the big TV company here in the UK.
Right.
It's like, I mean, you got Sky, but then you may have got other things like Virgin Media and things like that. But Sky is like the big one. That's where like
no, I've heard of it before.
Yeah, like, all your soccer and UFC and boxing is all on Sky and things like that. So if you're a small company of between 8 and 14 people, the game that you're working on for 4 years and it may not even get released because this huge company saying it's got the word Sky in it. It's got to take your mind off what you're doing, kind of thing. I mean, I bet they lost so much groundwork on.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just because they were distracted from that and worrying about.
Not only that, just money. I mean, they had to pay for those. They had to pay for those lawyers in some way or the other. I mean, like that's expensive.
Yeah. So I mean, and obviously the whole thing with them having to move studios because it originally got flooded. They lost pretty much all the game. They had to start again from scratch. So
I'm one of those people that think that they lost way more than they let off.
More than likely.
I think they lost a good. I think they really lost the core of the game, and I think they just had the framework of it saved somewheres, and they try to piece it back together. And I just don't think they could do it the same way.
So I restart from scratch, I reckon.
Yeah, that's what I honestly think.
But okay, so we didn't hear anything from them for 3 months, and then completely out of the blue,
there's the Foundation update.
Yeah, a trailer comes out, and then literally the same day the Foundation update is downloadable. So, what is your first reaction? Did you watch the trailer first, or did you get the actual?
I had no idea this was even going on.
Yeah.
Up until like I woke up Sunday morning and I had my phone next to the bed just by coincidence, and I searched on Twitter and there was like this thing from Hello Games like Foundation update. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I watched the trailer, dude. I literally jumped out of bed and I turned my PlayStation on and I downloaded the update, and I was just like, holy shit! Like I cannot believe they did this. And there was so much stuff, like just all the things they shown, and I just couldn't believe it. Like I was so happy.
Yeah.
Like I just was so happy, and like I was like,
wow.
wow.
Gives it a new lease of life, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what I love so much about pre-alpha games and early access games is you constantly, for whatever amount of time the game is in development for, you've constantly got a new stream of content coming out, maybe once a month, once every couple of months or something like that. And that's personally what I think No Man's Sky should have been. It should have been an early access game.
Yeah.
On PC, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
If it was possible on PlayStation, maybe so. If not,
No, yeah,
yeah,
I think they can do that in
yeah.
PlayStation.
But
Sure can.
I played a game called Prison Architect. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
No, I never heard of that.
It's basically a prison simulation game, and you've got to like build a prison and manage it and run it and things. And it was like it's won so many awards or something, but
Oh wow.
they had it's made by I think a team of like 10 people or something, and it's on Steam and amazing. Like it sold really really well. In fact,
I'll have to try to check it out.
let me have a look. I think let me look at the store page. It should tell you like how many people are playing it and stuff, shouldn't it? Um, it's got like very positive reviews. Like overall, 24,000 reviews are very
Oh
positive.
wow.
And,
I'll have to check it out.
yeah, 83 on Metacritic and stuff. So,
Oh wow.
but yeah, but this was a game. What was in development? I think altogether for 5 years. And but I think for about the first year or first 2 years, the game wasn't released, and then it got put onto like early access for Steam. And then for about 3 years after that, there was an update every single month, and
Wow.
that game kept me playing for 3 years, pretty much solid. At least
Wow.
for maybe one day a week or a few days a week. But for 3 years solid, for a game to make you play for 3 years solid straight, even for a finished game, that's pretty much impossible.
Right.
3 years solid. Sorry about that. But for an indie game to do that, and let alone for it to be not even completed yet, it can work. It proves it can work.
Right.
And I mean, the Prison Architect game, it only costs £20, which is, I don't know, maybe about $30 or something for you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and I mean it's on sale now. It's 75% off at Steam, so
Oh wow.
it's only £5. So whatever that is in dollars. And that's what they should have done. They should have gone down that route for No Man's Sky. They should have made it an early access game. I think people would have understood a lot more about what wasn't in the game then on release.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, every month or every 2 or 3 months, they should update it with new content and things like that. I mean, the guys behind Prison Architect used to do a bit, like I said, do a video, but they used to do it of them talking, like two of the developers of the game.
Yeah.
And the guy behind Minecraft is a huge fan of theirs, but just because of these videos, because they had such a good rapport with each other, they just bounced off each other so well that they made waiting for the videos just as fun as waiting for the content to come from the game so well as well. So yeah, they should do something similar. They should have made it like early access, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, I think you get two types of people who prefer like I do these days, or would prefer a game to actually come out completed for a change. You get too many games these days where they come out and they either come out and then need so many patches, or they come out and then you got 5 or 10 DLC packs. You got to buy as well on top of,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's Destiny though, isn't it? That kind of thing.
Dude, I can't even tell you how much money, because I've been playing it since day one. I probably spent at least $200 on that game, just playing it from day one until this current.
That sucks. I mean, I got the collector's edition, and it was on sale as well. It was something like £25.
I was gonna say you probably got it for like 30 or 40 bucks or something like that.
So, I mean,
but for me, like,
I think I spent about £10 on like silver as well for the game or something like that. So I hardly put any money into it either. So
yeah, but for me, like, from playing it from day one and getting all the DLC on release date and shit, like that, I mean, it was literally that I probably spent at least that much money, which is
crazy.
It's crazy. Like, I'm coming from a generation of when you have a Nintendo game and the game is on the cartridge, like there's no downloading anything. Like
Nintendo's still famous for doing it now, that all their games always work on release, and you don't really have to pay for any DLC.
No, it's very true, actually.
Anything that you have to pay for is just things like maybe like skins or extra like aesthetic content, not gaming content.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, Nintendo are notorious for games that always work. You will never get a game from Nintendo like Mario Kart, that just doesn't work, or there's some kind of weird clippy thing going wrong with it.
That's so true. I had never really thought about that, but you're 100% right.
Yeah. So yeah, what would you say is your overall opinion on the whole Foundation update then?
Um, my overall opinion is like it was a huge step forward. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way. Just like, you can see things that they're gonna do in the game. Like you almost have a vision now of what they might implement at certain points.
Hmm.
Or it was just a huge. It was needed. It should have been honestly. It should have probably been in at launch.
Yeah.
But it's here now, so that's what matters is what's going on now.
It's like
And
a huge weight off your shoulders kind of thing.
yeah, can I tell you, it's just gonna sound stupid, but like I think the best thing that I've seen so far since the update came out is that the Reddit page is actually
Active again.
active again. And people are actually enjoying themselves, and
Yeah, I
like
mean, I
because
think I saw someone mention about the ratings for No Man's Sky have gone back up now
yeah, I've seen that
on
too.
Steam.
That
So
will slowly change, and I think it's cool because you see a decent amount of people streaming it now, and like I said, the Reddit page is more helpful. There's, I mean, a month before the Foundation update came out, it was just every single post was just shitting on No Man's Sky
yeah,
or some way or the other, and there was no positive whatsoever. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere. So if you wanted to actually literally say, show off a discovery or something, like you couldn't go anywhere to do it or anything like that. It was
yeah.
just people just hated you on there, and so that's good. I'm glad like at least that community of people are turning the other cheek on that.
Hmm.
So like that's a positive. So they
Do
can
you,
only, I mean, they just got to keep it going now. Like they have to
yeah.
have another. They need to hit another home run. Like if they do that some way or the other, whether it's I don't know how they're going to do it, but they gotta.
Do you think they prioritised correctly with this update? Do you think they put in the stuff what was need to be
No,
in now?
no.
No.
I think they really should have buttoned down. I think you know what, honestly, they should have gone through that list that they made up, and
Mm,
they should have put in everything that was supposedly promised on release. They
yeah.
should have put in the game. Maybe minus the multiplayer because I can see how that probably is hard to set up and to get the servers going. Like that might need a little bit more time. Like
Yeah.
I respect that, but all the aesthetic things, like just little things that should be in there, like that just I think
Stars.
they need to. I mean, dude, trust me. I mean, the Foundation update was great because it got people playing again. But at the same time, like, I really wish they would just put the things in that they said it was going to be in the game
Yeah.
originally.
Do you think
Like,
do you think it's been
so
a distraction from that a little bit?
yeah, I think they did it just to kind of pique in people's interest again, and then
Yeah.
gives them more time to work on that maybe that particular thing.
Yeah.
So it was like almost like here's a shiny red ball, play with it for a little bit while we work.
Yeah.
It's that's
While we're there putting Frankenstein together,
yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I seen it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the update, but I mean, if you asked me personally, like, I
Well, like you
wish they
said,
would.
it was never meant to be there. A lot of the things in this
Yeah, I mean,
update.
here you're putting stuff in the game that you said was never going to be in the game, but you're leaving out the stuff that you said that was going to be in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, like, what the hell is that all about?
Oh, it's
But
crazy.
I just hope like eventually, sooner or later, they get around to adding more and more features that were supposed to be in
Yeah.
the game. Like, I really wish they do the wingman thing. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I wish they put rings on planets. There's a couple different things. I
I mean,
just,
they do serve a purpose as well. The rings in Elite Dangerous, you can mine the
yeah,
rocks in them.
yeah, yep. That's a huge thing right there. That you could.
Yeah.
That's another mechanic in the game that you could. I mean, you get a system that has a planet with a ring around it. You might be loaded with with minerals and
Yeah,
stuff like
exactly.
that. Like you might be lucky to find a system of a planet with rings around it. Like you don't know. Like they could put that as another mechanic and stuff.
Yeah,
And so,
definitely. Okay, so we've talked about that. What about what would you want to see? Obviously, what's not being promised, but what would you like to see? What you would put into the game? What's not being promised already?
um,
Because obviously,
hmm.
there's been all the magic people good at computers have been digging, and they found that they are going to be adding a buggy or an ATV.
I tell you what, if they add the buggy, they better add something for underwater because
Yeah,
there's so many water planets out there, and I never go to them because you go so slow through water.
yeah,
Like if you let us go through water faster in some type of a vehicle or
and
whatever,
deeper as well.
yeah, I mean, I would love it. Like because right now, honestly, the upgrades for your air suit or whatever, like, those things are pointless because I never go to those places. Like,
see, that's another thing that my little frustration is the like the radiation upgrades and like I said, the water breathing upgrades and stuff like that. Like, I think if you build them, then they shouldn't just wear down over a quicker as quick a period of time. There should be a little bit longer as to how long they last for. Because I'm constantly forgetting, like, oh crap, my thing's almost gone. Like my radiation protection's almost gone, and I've been on the planet for about 5 minutes, and I've got 3 versions of the radiation protection or whatever, and I'm just like, oh crap.
Right.
Why didn't it last, 20 minutes or something, not 5
Right.
minutes?
Yeah, no.
But I think there's like
They
little
just got to do
tweaks,
something like that.
little tweaks here and there for like the like storage. People complain about the storage, and now they've upped the storage a little bit as well. And obviously you got the added storage of your space station and your spaceship and
No, at least they did something where you can at least store something.
yeah.
Like that right there is a nice step, a nice
I'd
step
like
in a
to
good
see
direction. Like,
some trading or like some money that you can get from your ships, from your starship. So like if you land on them, you collect a certain amount of income from what they've traded, or what from other aliens have landed on your space. I keep calling it a space station, starship, and have traded, and you get a little bit of income from those
yeah, you
sales.
should get if they're trading at your spot, you should get a small percentage or
Yeah.
something like that.
And
You
same
know,
on
like
your space on your base as well on the planets. When you got other aliens landing.
yeah. No, that's a good thing. I never really thought about that. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, shoot.
Yeah. Or even if it's not money, maybe like some minerals or
Just something in return,
Yeah.
like just something.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what
I
I'd
know.
like to see.
I know, like one major, like if I was gonna have like a major update, like I think the thing that pops in my mind first is like I wish they do like a faction war, where like they do something again where they'd go off of the lore of the story and then like reignite that war again between the Viking and the Sentinels, and then the Korvax get pissed at the Viking, and like I wish
Want it
they'd
to be
like
more than just pirates versus everyone else.
or
It's
something.
pretty much just pirates just versus everyone else at the minute.
Yeah, and you don't even know necessarily who those pirates are even
Exactly.
associated with. You know, so like they could be with anybody. I mean, so I wish they'd do something like a huge scale like a faction war, I guess you would call it, like, and go off of the lore of the story because the lore is so good. Like they could really do something there, and I think that would just add to like just the surroundings of you, like when you're going around doing your
diversity
thing.
and things.
Yeah, so like, and then almost like, they could almost change like the way that they look and the narrative that they have because now they're in war, so now
Definitely.
they might have different outfits on, or they might be talking differently than they normally did or something. Like they could do so much with that, and I think that would be a huge, like just a nice chunk of some type of a content update. That would be huge, I think.
Yeah. And I'd like to see like you said in the multiplayer aspect, maybe some kind of space racing.
Oh, there's going to be. I guarantee you. Eventually, there's going to be some type of a multiplayer, and it's probably going to be like it's probably going to be how GTA does it, where it's like No Man's Sky Online, and like you'll have like a room with like maybe I don't know, maybe 60 or 100 people, and you'll have like they'll block off like a small section of the galactic map, and that's like the online zone.
Yeah.
And then people can meet up at certain places and warp to each other and fly around and do shit together, and like I think that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, that would be cool. I can imagine seeing that.
And at that point, you could do anything. I mean, you could set your own races, or you can make your own markers, or whatever.
That's true,
there's so many things you can do. Like at that point, like there's a lot.
I'd like maybe to see where you can build improved instead of just these abandoned buildings. Maybe actually just building wherever you want to be able to build.
No, that's a great idea, and like I'd even be okay with like if it was like an inflatable temporary like shelter or something like that, or somehow like it doesn't have to even be a full build. Like just let me build it wherever I want. Like just let me
So
just
I can see as a multiplayer aspect that you could build like a small city, and obviously you 3 or 4 of your friends next to each other building your little bases together and making them join together and
Yeah,
building
that could never happen now. Like
no
you'd be so spread out that
exactly.
yeah, it would be pointless kind of.
And with with the zoning about places that you can actually build, um, even if you manage to get two or three pretty close together, the fact that obviously you only got a limit of how much you can build.
Yeah, that they got to get rid of that limit because
Yeah.
the PC people don't they took it off. So
Yeah,
like
I mean,
they
I
can
can
build where
understand
they want.
a height limit because obviously you don't want to be able to build and then end up in space because you got to deal with the whole like oxygen kind of thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
but there should be like a limit to like you have to build on land. So if you decide to try and build your base off the land and into the water or something,
Right.
then obviously you can't do it. But on land, yes. Um, okay, so I
They
think
need to raise the limit up.
yeah, yeah. Um, all right then. I think we covered about every single thing we could cover there.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
probably. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, dude, it was an absolute pleasure, man. Trust me.
Thank you very much.
I listened to your guys' podcast. I listened to pretty much just about every single one of them.
Oh,
So
thank you so
like I
much for the
said,
support.
like I said, you guys were like my Wednesday morning drive to work because by the time you uploaded, like I was literally waking up for work. So like that
Oh,
was like always like my Wednesday drive to work when you guys were like doing them every week, and like that was so cool. Like I got so depressed when you guys weren't doing it. I was like, damn man, I was like, what am I gonna do on Wednesdays?
oh man, that's amazing to hear.
So.
Just that little bit, just gives me a little bit of, a little bit goosebumps.
No, I mean,
Um,
like I said, man, like I was definitely a fan for sure, and I still am. So I mean, I still follow you and stuff like that. So I get the alerts when you're doing your thing, and
oh, that's
so.
awesome. That's awesome. But
But yeah, like,
eh,
definitely thank you for the opportunity, man. I
well,
appreciate it.
it's been a pleasure to have you here with us, or with me rather, not with us. So yes, make sure you do go check him out. I will read them out again. It's Retro Wi-Fi Gaming on YouTube and at Retro Wi-Fi Gaming on Twitter. And his PSN is Multigrain Pasta.
Hmm.
Yes, there we go.
Yes. Yep.
So make sure you go check him out and add him up and everything like that. So follow him on Twitter. And like I said, once again, thank you for joining me.
Awesome,
And
man. I had a great time.
thank you. And everyone at home, we will see you next time.